Hi and welcome to Visual Basic 2015 tutorial. In this session I just finished developing what is known as retention, achievement and success rate. So for those of you who are in education, this will be very useful for you, but let me just show you how this works now. Okay, we assuming the number of starters. When I say starters, I'm talking about the number of students that started your course. Let's say the number is approximately, let's go for 30, and before you decide to do your achievement check, let's say you have about 25 students left. Okay, and out of those, how many will pass the course? So let's say you have 23. So the whole purpose is for this system to calculate your retention, achievement and success rate. So all you just need to do is to click on overall, and that will give you that. Okay, I also have the one that just calculates retention alone there. Okay, so let me just reset it and you guys see what I'm talking about. Supposing we say you have 23, 20 and maybe 16 there. If you calculate, you can get the retention or the achievement or the overall. Okay, so that's for the first group A. So let's populate the rest of the groups and see what's going to happen. Okay, now we have the number of starters, so let's go for the number left. Supposing we still have 34 there, maybe 23 here, 18, we speed that. Okay, now we have our starters. These are the numbers of the student left. Now for this very first row, we're talking about 16 will pass the course. Let's see how many people will pass the course here. Supposing we say 30 there, and here we have 22, here we have 18, here we have 30, 20, maybe 22, 31, let's go for 22 here, 15, that will be 30 as well. Let's go for maybe 16 here, and here we have maybe 19. So we have our starter, number of students left, and the number of students that will pass the course. All we need to do now is to click on the overall there. So we have the figure of for the academic year of retention, achievement and success rate for the 12. I think we have about 12 groups there. So if we want to find the average, all we just need to do is to click on the average right there, and that's what we get. This one need to be looked into. We just have a quick look at what must have gone wrong there. We just need to divide this by 100 or so. Okay, in any case, it's sorted. So what I will do next is I'm going to take you guys straight into Visual Studio 2015, and we put one of these together. But before we do that, let me reset this and show you how this system really works. If I click, or when I click on any of the cells, I can then enter data. Supposing I click on this and I mistakenly not add the data and move way out of that cell, you see, on mouse move, and if cell or text box is empty, just reassign 0, and the same thing applies to this. Okay, that is how this system works. So all I will do now is take you guys straight back into Visual Studio 2015. We'll put one of these together. There's a lot of coding involved because you just have to make sure you get it all right. So let's just do 1 or 2 lines, and if we do 1 or 2 lines, guess what, you guys will be able to take care of the rest yourself. So let's do that now. Okay guys, let's start a new project. Okay guys, the project dialog box is ready, so let's give it a name. So just call it retention. Okay, let's just enter VB here. Alright, and here maybe I should just call that success rate. Right, so that'll be the name of my file. I'm going to click on save right now, so that's fine. Right, the form is ready. I think we should now define the size of this form. So right there where it says size, we're going to enter as follows: 1000 plus by 548. Okay, click on that, and there we go. So the next thing I would do is to go to tools right there, and let's select label. Let's get a label on board. There we now have one label there, and go to the property of that very label and change. Let's go to the size where it says size, change that to 83 by 27. Now let's come up here, and we're going to change the size, auto size, make that false, then the border style, make that single there. So the next thing we do is get rid of the text content in there and there. Now just copy this across. Let's go. Alright, I need a couple of these and some across here. Then we also need, that'll be full number of students and so on, and that'll be retention and so on there. And here we need a couple more here. And right here we give that group. Let's call that group. Right. Okay, maybe we should increase the font size so that you can see that. Let's go for maybe 16. Alright, that's fine. Get it centered. Get that centered. And here we just enter the value, enter a group number there. So that'll be group A. That's A. B. So I'll just speed that up and get back to you guys. Okay, this is how it's looking right now. So we're going to need some couple of buttons right here. So let's come here and get a button on board right there. So about that, and let's change the property of that to overall. Yeah, and right here let's change the font size. Let's go for maybe 30. Let's change the size up to 254 by 60. Right, so we just speed that up. Now let's bring this here and just speed it up right there. So that is how it's looking now. Okay, but right now nothing is happening. Okay, if we run it, nothing happens. So the first thing I'll do is let's take care of this first. Let's take care of the exit button. That's easy. So just enter application dot exit there. Now the next thing is to get all of these. Okay, let's see the name. That's the name of that. Okay, undo that. Let's copy and reset. Click on the reset button right here. Paste that in there. Dot text equals 0. So because I have up to L there, so what I'll just do is come in here, just copy all of these. So that'll be A, B, C to L. So that'll be B according to the, let's C, D. I can just copy all of this, paste and paste. So we have A, B, C, D, that's E, F, G, H, I. Okay, the first column is ready, so I'll just speed that up now. There. So the clear function is already now. That is it right there. okay, for all of the columns that you can see here. So which means if I run the program now, and whatever value I enter in there, so I can hit the clear button. You see that works as we want. Okay, look at what's happening here now. So that is not acceptable. We can enter, instead of numbers in there, we can enter any kind of letters in there. So that is unacceptable. So what I will do is, you see all of these text box, I will then group them together using an event. Let's just select all of the text box. We will select these, all of these here. Okay, let's do it like this, group them together and ungroup this. You see all of those. Now come to where it says property right here. Okay, go to the events right there and let's look for KeyPress right here. So let's give that a name. I'll just call it numbers only. Numbers only. Alright, that's the, let's start again. Numbers only. Okay, press enter, and we now have our own procedural area for just numbers only. So we then enter the following lines of codes. Okay, that's the procedural area. All we just need to do is to enter the following lines of code, which means if you enter any character other than numbers, the system will not accept it. So let's assume, see that that's not acceptable because I was trying to enter a separate character. I can enter numbers, but I cannot enter any other thing not numbers into any of the text box. So that's fine, that's taken care of. Okay, that's the KeyPress event, preventing it from entering non-numeric value. Okay, let's exit. Now the other event we will be using is the click events. So let's start with that. Okay, I'll use the click event to prevent. Okay, let's double click on the click event, and right here, so what I will do is, let's get the name of that very component. That's the name. Copy it, paste, dot text equals that. Okay, that means when you click on it, whatever values in there will disappear. And focus, the system will actually focus right in there. So if I run it now, and when I click on any of these components, nothing is happening, but when I click on this, you see that. So I can then enter whatever value I want to enter in there. Supposing when I click on it, I move out of that very component and my comments, we have like the number 0 to go back into this very cell. So let's use mouse leave. So this is mouse click. When you click on that component, the content disappears and focus is set on that very component. So let's select that same component, come to the property right here and select mouse leaves right here. That's it, the event mouse leaves. Double click on that. We use an if statement. If txt start a.text equals empty, I would like it to change the value straight to 0. Okay, so which means if you don't do anything about that very component, the value should just change back to this. So if I run it now, okay, I click on there, I move out without doing anything mistakenly. You see that? But if I enter a value in there, so that's cool, nothing happened. Supposing there's nothing in there. Okay, so I'll repeat that. So what I'll just do is copy this. Okay, come to the next one, select the event, which is that's the click event right here. paste and just change the name, because I've named it in a way to make life easy for me. This is txt starter B. Now look at this one, mouse leaves. We can use this for mouse leaves, or you can copy this very one. So that will be for mouse, and change this to B, that is mouse leaves. Okay, and we can then repeat the same thing for C. Change that to C, because I already have those components. Yeah, but I don't have this for C, so I can always come here and just paste this one here, change that to C, and we'll try it and see if it works. That's C. Okay, that's txt start to C. Alright, so let's run it now and see what will happen. Okay, click leaves, click leaves, click leaves. You see that? It's working how I expected. So I can even just do that of D as well. So the name of the component, if you name it in a consistent fashion, you shouldn't have any problem. So that's what's happening here. Look at it. What I'm just doing is just replacing the last letter, that's E. So that makes life easy for me. Okay, so I'll just speed that up for this very first column and get back to you guys. Okay, for this very first column, I've finished taking care of the click events. You can see it's exactly the same line of code. All I just change is the names. Okay, I've named it in a way to make life easy. So txt starter G, txt starter H, and so on, from A to letter L. Okay, so if I run it now, okay, here is the end result. All I just do is click and just move on, but there is a bug. I moved on, the system should just return back to the default number because I haven't entered any value in there. So that is what is left for me to do now. So let's try and make that work. So in here we enter a value in there. So reset, exit. Alright, the next one will be for letter D. I have already copied that, so just paste that in there, change the C to D. You have to be careful you don't mess it up. Okay, that's D. That would be for letter E. So that makes life easier for me instead of going back and forth. That's one good thing about this 2015 Visual Studio 2015. It sort of like make life easier for you. Okay, but you have to be careful though. G. So I'll just speed that up and get back to you guys. Okay, from letter L to letter A is all taken care of, and you guys can see the lines of code that were used. Okay, so it's exactly the same line of code. I think there should be another way around to make life even more easier. Alright, if I run it now, okay, just click on that. Can you see that, guys? Click on it. If I dare leave that object, it default back to 0. Okay, so which means that will prevent an error happening when we carry out the calculation here. Okay, there's nothing taking place here yet apart from reset. Nothing like average or this. Okay, so I will now speed this up for the other column 1 2, and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, like I said earlier on, using this method is sort of like time consuming. So what I want to do now is I want to group all of these. Let's group it. Let's come in here first and just end that. Okay, it's nothing here yet, just end it. So I'll group all of these. Alright, so let's call that. Let's first of all, let's go into the event right there and go to where it says mouse leave right here. Mouse leave, yep, got it. Now with the mouse leave, we can even sort of like group it for all. Really, let's group it for all of these instead of repeating the same process. Okay, come in here, mouse leave, let's say text leave. Alright, that's the name, so press enter. Okay, there we go. So we start by saying dim, let's say T as text box. There we go, there, and text box equals sender. Alright, which means this sender would listen to whatever events that you enter. And let's say if T is serve.text equals empty, then we now want T dot text equals, make that 0. So that's all there is to it. So just these few lines of code we actually take care of what I had to write for 12 different objects. Okay, just this single line of code will take care of 20 different objects, and the same thing can be repeated for the mouse click actually. So this is, if let's say I get rid of whatever value in there, you can see the cursor. If I leave, can you see that? Alright, when the mouse leave, the content in there becomes 0. Okay, mouse leave. Alright, so let's repeat. I think this one works as well, that's fine. Let's repeat exactly the same thing for mouse click. So that is selected. Now come to the property right here. Now let's look for mouse click. That's it, click event. So just double click, or maybe we should give it a name. Let's say text click. Alright, there we go. With the text click, let's just say dim, enter some property for that text. Let's say double T as, or we can just say TC as text box right there equals sender. There. Okay, so in this case we want to say t.tc dot text equals, so when you click that, now let's say tc dot focus. Yeah, we have the focus in there as well. Alright, so hopefully that should work for all of those components. So that will sort of like save me time. You see, it's working, guys, instead of doing it individually. So that will save a lot of time. So with that, we can start the calculation bit. Okay, so what we want to do now is to be able to click on the overall so that we can get the retention, the achievement, and the success rate working. So we're going to start by double clicking on this overall. Double click on that. So I'm going to start off by declaring the following arrays. So right there underneath the public, so it's going to be a global array. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 arrays there. So for the retention itself, I have 82 arrays. For retention and achieve and average, 12. Achievement and achievement average and success average, you can see them there. That's 12, 12, 12 and 82. So let's go back to the overall right here. No, I don't think that's it. Let's come back in here, check out the name. Let's just call button 1. So we might as well just start off by actually giving it a name. Let me give it a name. Let's come back here, right there, double click on that and just call it maybe BTN retention, right there. Okay, we have BTN retention, right, just double click on it then, and right there, BTN retention. Okay, so I start with these following lines of codes. So the first part of it is whatever is inside txt starter A is assigned into retention array 0, and the second one, the left one, which is this one, is assigned into retention 1. Okay, then both of them, according to the calculation of retention, to get the retention, you have to start out with this to get retention, and that's what I've done right here. Okay, all of this is just to convert it into percentage, to get it as a percentage. This one here, I only put this one because I intend to use this to calculate the average. Okay, so that's for the retention. This is for the achievement, and here is success rate. So have a good look at the code, because all I just do now is copy and paste this 11 times more. Okay, let's run the very first one. So supposing we have our number, the starter, let's say the starter is about 25 students, and towards the end we have maybe, or by the end we have 23, and the number of students that pass, let's say, is 21. So we can get the retention by dividing this by this. So if we click on overall, these are not working anyway. If we click on that, well, let's start it again, reset. Okay, because I didn't have anything there. Okay, now if we click on overall, that will give you the retention, the achievement, and the success rate for that very group. Okay, but here there's nothing in here, so nothing happens here. Alright, so let's reset and give that a shot again. So the next one is for this line itself. So all I'll just do is I'm going to copy all of that, copy it, and maybe draw a line, across, and just paste exactly the same lines of code. So all I need to do is, if you notice, I've made use of the following array number 6 has been used. So all I just do now is change this to array number 7, and this one becomes number 8. Okay, so if 0 is 7 here, this one is 8, and this is 8. So that's what I will be doing all along. Okay, that's 7 as well. 8, and this one will be 1. Okay, so y, the startup become b, that's b as well, b, and that's it. Okay, let's speed that up now. Okay, I believe I've finished copying and pasting it. It's exactly the same lines of codes all along. Have a good look at it. So let's run the system so that you guys see how it works anyway. Alright, run it and enter whatever value you want in there. Okay, let's just speed that up. Okay, I've speed this up, and this is decision time. Let's just click on this and see what will happen if it works right. All of the retention, achievement, and success rate should be populated. Yep, it is working. That's fine, guys. So all I need to now do is to be able to work on retention, achievement, and success rate. The reset is working, average is not working. Okay, let's come in here now. Alright, for the retention, all we need to just do is copy this. You see that of retention? Just copy that. All of the retentions will be copied. Okay, copy the very first one. Come into retention right here, double click, and just paste that right there. And the same thing will be repeated for the rest of the codes. Right here, those are the lines of codes for retention. Okay, all I'm just doing in there is dividing this very one, okay, with this one. If you notice, I don't seem to have this in there, but you can always just put that in there. That's just to do with the percentage anyway. Okay, so that means we need another one here. Right, you see that goes, but we don't really need it in here because I've played around with it and noticed that it's not needed. Okay, that's fine. That is for retention. So it seems we have the retention in place now, so maybe we should try that out and see if the retention works. Run the program. So check out the retention. Let's enter, maybe that's the number of students we have. Let's see how many we finish. There, check out the retention. Yes, the retention is working. You can see where we have the NaN. So in that case, maybe we just need to write 1 or 2 lines of code to get rid of these, or maybe we just use, yeah, we can also use an event just to get rid of that. Alright, so that's fine. So in the case of NaN, okay, to get rid of the value that NaN that you guys saw earlier, let me show you again. So if I enter something in here now, there, you see the rest become NaN. So I really don't want that. Maybe convert it to 0. So double click on the form there and just enter a function. Let me enter the function right underneath here, and I can always call that very function. Okay, so that's gonna be a long line of codes. There we go. So that is it. Anytime this becomes empty, just change it to 0. So, and the same thing applies to the NaN. There we go. Alright, so anytime that becomes NaN, convert it to 0. So I can always call this. I can call it anywhere. I can call it here. Undo that. Call, yeah, I can there, and I can also call it in that very button here. Double click on that and call it right here underneath here. Where is that? Yeah, it's there already. So let's call it inside retention. Right underneath retention there. Let's call it inside achievement as well. Paste. I'm going to call it inside success rate. Right, so anytime I click on those buttons, if there's NaN, it will convert it to 0. Alright, so let's deal with achievement now, or achieve. Double click on achieve right there and enter the following lines of codes. So right there. Okay, see, it's the same lines of code that I've actually copied. Alright, so now the last but not the least is the success rate. So come in here, let's enter those codes here. Okay, it's exactly the same lines of code, but what is happening is just for the achieve, retention, and the success rate is just to copy. It is just to calculate each individual column. Right. So that is that. And for the average, let's declare the following variables. Let's say dim count 1, count 2, count 3 as maybe double. Yeah, just leave it as double. So we now come in here where it says average, double click on the average. Okay, we enter as follows to calculate the first part of the average, or the first column, the retention column. Here you can see count is assigned 0. So anytime if not this object equals 0, count is incremented by 1, and so on. So once we get the amount of object with that 0 is then added up here, and we then use that to find the average. Then we then use this 100 to convert it into percentage. That's what I've done in here. Okay, so the same thing, that's for the column retention. So the column success rate and achievement and success rate. So there they go. That is for success rate. Okay, and this is for achievement. Okay, so let's give it a try now. Run the program. Now we enter some values in here. So I'll just speed this up and get back to you. Okay, I've finished populating the status, number of students left on the course, and number of those who passed the course. So if I click on overall, right there you can see the retention, overall achievement, and overall success rate. So let's see if the average works. Right there you can see the average retention is 91.0. You can always get rid of this. Success achievement is 93.76, and the academic success rate is 79.32%. And that is how you develop your own retention, achievement, and success rate calculator. So with that, I'm going to call it the end of this tutorial. I suppose you guys enjoy it. Bye for now.